Hey folks, we're back. Imagine that. It's Wednesday, May 1st, a whole new month, and it's about 8 p.m. And you're here with Real Talk with Real People, i12 GIA. Let's get the housekeeping stuff out of the way first. Our opinions are our own. They in no way reflect the thoughts or concerns or opinions of our sponsors, which are i12 GIA, Peace of Mind Training, Global Elite Tactical Training, and I'm going to throw a new one in tonight. It's Gulfstream Guardian Angels Rottweiler Rescue. There's some folks that I've dealt with before in the past, and they deal with Rottweilers, obviously. We just adopted an owner surrender about 2 weeks ago. Lexi, beautiful 2-year-old female, and she's in our home now. So if you're looking for a Rott and you're in Florida, because they don't go outside of Florida, get a hold of those folks. We're really good. Okay, so moving right along, it's going to be me and Rennie tonight. I think Nomad's going to call in later. He's out and about. So we should have a pretty good show. I was thinking this afternoon, things are weird right now. The entire world is just a general mess. We've forgotten what a civilized society is all about, it seems like, between riots and all the hate and discontent that's going on. So I want to discuss some of that stuff. We got a whole bunch of other things we want to talk about. It's going to be kind of unscripted tonight because we got a bunch of shits going on. So we're just going to cover the last week or so and see what happens. First up is going to be a video that caught my attention from 1948. Sadly, it doesn't seem like we learned anything from history because we're still dealing with the same shit now. So if we can go ahead and run that up. It's about 10 minutes long, so just sit back, watch that, then we'll get into it.
America is many things to many people. To a 17-year-old kid, it's the malt shop on the corner. To Grandpa, it's the front porch in the cool of the evening. To Mother and her family, it's church on Sunday morning. And to Dad, it's his favorite relaxation. It's the Cracker Barrel philosophers in Crabtree Corners. And it's the tycoons in Wall Street. It's all races, creeds, and religions. It's freedom to work at the job you like. Freedom of speech and to peaceably assemble. Freedom to own property. Security from unlawful search or seizure.
Where's your warrant, Flatfoot?
The right to a speedy and public trial. Protection against cruel punishments and excessive fines. The right to vote. And to worship God in your own way. It is these freedoms that have made America strong.
Okay, so we got our freedom. But management's lousing up everything.
Labor is at fault. It's ruining the country.
My constituents, as your elected representative, I can assure you Labor's right, management's right. I'm strictly neutral.
Labor, management, politicians, fooey. They can't tell corn from oats.
Wait, take the money out of it.
Hurry, step right up, folks. Here's the answer to your problems. Dr. Utopia's sensational new discovery, ISM. ISM will cure any ailment of the body politic. It's terrific. It's tremendous. Once you swallow the contents of this bottle, you'll have the bountiful benefit of higher wages, shorter hours, and security. Enormous profits, no strikes. Remember, you're the big boss. Government control, no worry about votes. Name your own salary. Bigger crops, lower costs. Why, ISM even makes the weather perfect every day. And now then, because we are introducing this amazing item for the first time in this country, it isn't going to cost you 1 cent. All you have to do is sign this little scrap of paper, and you get your bottle absolutely free.
I hereby turn over to ISM Incorporated everything I have, including my freedom and the freedom of my children and my children's children, in return for which said ism promises to take care of me forever.
Pardon me. Pardon me.
And who are you, my good man?
I'm John Q. Public.
Ah, my fine friend, you're just in time to share this generous and gigantic offer. Sign right here.
Mind if I read it first?
Hurry up,
Keep your shirts on, boys. Including my freedom. Freedom? Well, sign away my freedom. Why, this is ridiculous.
Don't be corny, brother.
Sure, our system of free enterprise isn't perfect. But before we throw it away for some imported double talk, let's turn the clock back a few years to see what it's done for us. For example, back in the 1890s, Joe Dokes was just a guy who liked to tinker around his barn. Some people thought Joe was lazy. Some even thought he was nuts. But one day, he had an idea. And because he was free to dream his dream and tinker, Joe had a chance to make something of himself and his idea. So, of course, some people didn't think so much of Joe's idea. But that didn't stop him. So Joe got some money from young Aunt Minnie and Uncle Angus and Grandpappy and Mr. Titus. When Joe's friends and relatives used their savings to help him buy tools and property, they were capitalists. Don't blush, folks. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Now, naturally, Joe needed some help. So he hired Willie Lumpkin, who was out of work anyway, and before long, Willie had the know-how and became skilled labor. Because capital, management, and labor worked together, Joe's idea grew. It grew and did things even he never dreamed of. Today, the automobile industry provides millions of jobs that never existed before. And remember, this is a story of only one industry. There are thousands more scattered all over the United States whose history of development is pretty much the same. We've built a country under the American system that sends more young people to high school and college than all the rest of the world combined. Why, even in the Depression, our wages bought more food, clothing, travel, and entertainment than the wages of any other people in the world. Our country has a national income equal to the total national incomes of any other 6 nations in the world. With only 7% of the Earth's people, we drive 70% of the world's automobiles. That's just a sample of the things the capitalistic system has given us in only 160 years. Before signing up, you boys ought to try a little taste of Dr. Ism's formula to see what you'd get in exchange for your freedom. Go ahead, try it.
You can't do this to me! I'll strike!
The state forbids strikes.
Wait till the union hears about this!
Ah, yes, the Union. Welcome to our ranks, number 1313.
I'll take this case to the Supreme Court.
The state is the Supreme Court. Our decision is as follows. No more private property. No more you.
The farm folk will put a stop to this.
Farmers don't vote anymore.
What'll I do for seed next year?
You won't have to worry about next year. The state will do your planning from now on.
us fight to regain our freedom, or everything is lost. Everything.
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
When anybody preaches disunity, tries to pit one of us against the other through class warfare, race hatred, or religious intolerance, you know that person seeks to rob us of our freedom and destroy our very lives. And we know what to do about it.
Now, gentlemen, no violence, please. Don't throw those bottles. Don't throw those bottles. No, no, no. Hey, hey, hey,
Working together to produce an ever greater abundance of material and spiritual values for all. That is the secret of American prosperity.
All right, folks, you can kind of see why that got my attention. You know, that was 60 years ago, 1948. Why the fuck do we keep doing the same shit over and over and over again? Why can't we seem to figure this out? Because we're in the same position again, all over. So, as we, last time we closed out the show, and we're all Americans, damn it, start acting that way. And that video is kind of an illustration of that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start getting the rest of our team together here. Rennie's out there wandering around somewhere. And I think, yep, there's Rennie. Nomad just checked on a few minutes ago, so our roving correspondent. So we're going to have some stuff from him tonight. We really want to talk to you folks tonight. We love to hear your opinions, and we love interacting with you. And there's Mr. B, too. We got the full crew tonight. So please give us a call at 508-974-4223. We try it again, 508-974-4231. Numbers are hard. Anyway, give us a call. We really want to talk to you folks. So let's go, guys. What do you think?
About all the shit that's going on now?
Yeah.
Let me give you a little history on the wood cricket. Wood crickets don't go near water. It's almost instant death for them. If you ever do find a wood cricket in water, I didn't get this. I didn't come up with this on my own. I heard it from somebody yesterday, and I thought it was very good. Find a wood cricket in water, chances are that it has a parasite in its brain. And for all intents and purposes, we'll call it the parasitic mind.
Oh.
I think today, everything we're seeing on all these fucking campuses throughout the United States, all these nitwits that are out there supporting Palestine, they all have parasitic minds. They're infected. There's no hope for them at all. I just had the pleasure of watching some guy in a gray hoodie at UCLA take a 2x4 in the face. Last night. I mean, that was the balls. That just made my day.
There was a lot of that going on. Rennie, yeah. I'm really impressed, brother. Everybody else was giving you shit about the whole parasitic mind thing, but you brought that together like a champ, man. We know exactly what the hell you were talking about now, and I think you're right. It's it's mass delusion. There is some kind of alien brain infestation or something. There's got to be some explanation for all of this. Mr. B, what do you think, buddy?
Long ago, it was said that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And we have a bunch of people who are like babes in the freaking woods, boy, that are hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and have no fucking brain.
Isn't that the truth, man? Rennie, do you think a lot of these folks are just lost? What was it? The idiot police chief in New York said today something about our children are being corrupted by paid agitators or whatever. That's why they're rioting.
No, they're being indoctrinated by a lot of their professors. No,
exactly.
They're not lost. They know what they're doing. Come on.
Not outside agitators. I know it's ridiculous.
Yeah, outside agitators are probably 1/10 of 1%. These people, these kids were indoctrinated from the day they got to school. That's all school is, indoctrination. That's why my daughter's looking at homeschooling her kids.
That's a really good idea, Mr. B.
I want to know how many of these kids that are out there with these with the diapers over their face over there that are they're saying, "Oh yeah, we're here for fighting for Palestine." Blah, blah, blah. How many of these sons of bitches are going to take and hop on a plane and go over there and fight with the Hamas people? No, they're going to sit around eating their freaking maypole and hoping to be able to score themselves a $65,000 a year salary right out the gate.
The reason they're wearing masks is because they're ballless. They don't want to be added to the suspension or the expulsion list.
Exactly.
Don't think it's because of COVID or anything like that.
Exactly. Hey, Nomad, you want to jump in on that, brother?
Hey, buddy, how you doing? Hey, fellas, good evening. How are you doing?
Good, brother. How are you?
Good evening.
I'm tormented, possessed by demons, but I'm good, despite their best efforts.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But anyway, shebang. I share your points of view. Interesting, came up with that clip, that little movie. That was 3 years after World War II had finished. The Marshall Plan was in full swing in Europe, rebuilding Europe, and all that it was. But here's the interesting thing, to go back into this indoctrination and parasitic mindset. The same building that you see these clowns take over in Colombia was exactly the same building with the same professors who were students themselves at the time, doing the same crap when they were complaining about our guys being in Vietnam. So it is history repeating itself, and it is absolutely doomed for failure. So the bottom line is that I just looked at the BBC and I looked at Sky News in the UK just before I came out here, and see how they're covering this whole thing, right? And it's interesting. They have a completely different take on how our media, with the exception of some of the more conservative-leaning media outlets, are dealing it. They're not putting it down as a student protest or agitation. They're putting it down to the fact that it's a combination of other factors, and it's total BS. They're saying student loan nonsense. They're saying that the kids are feeling lost, that all this nonsense. Every excuse that you could find in the world's worst country and western song were used as motivation for what they were doing, right? So, but what I'm coming to is this. When I see tonight that the protesters are asking for Grubhub to be reinstated to deliver vegan meals and water. I'm sure the people in Gaza have no fucking water right now. They're surrounded by water. It's called the Mediterranean, right? But the other side of it is that these guys are total snowflakes, and they will stay in school for as long as we fund them. Cut the funding out of them, hit them in the pocket, and kick their ass out of college. Because there's rules of behavior in every institution. And I see now what's going to happen with the House if they pass this bill into an act to broaden the definition of anti-Semitism. It will allow the Department of Education to come in and step in. But that's a dangerous precedent in itself, because then once you give a federal government control over anything, you're risking your First Amendment rights. And that's the slippery slope that we're on right now. This is a test. This is a test for other shit that's going to come down the line later on. I'm telling you that now.
Yeah, but no, man, the government has control now because they give these schools millions every year.
Yeah.
And they can start that funding.
Well, they can, but listen, none of them had the balls to do it. Listen, if you take the COVID situation we had here, sir, we had Florida and DeSantis and other governors around the country where they basically ignored the federal government and did what was good for the people of the state that they represented. And we had success. And ironically, some of these idiots emigrated, right? And I'm an immigrant, but I came from overseas. These guys came out of these liberal strongholds and have ended up in Florida. And what's happening now is they're in danger of bringing some of their politics down. Some of those professors got jobs in Florida universities and faculties. And we've got the same thing. It is indoctrination. It's a long-term program. It's a sleeper cell through education is what's going on. That's my opinion.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Nomad. What are your thoughts on Joe Biden yesterday saying that he wants to relocate millions of Palestinians from Gaza to the United States?
I would. You're talking about something that happened in Europe for the last 10, 15 years, and they've paid the price for it. It's in the intel community in Europe called it the Trojan horse doctrine, which was primarily where you bring agitators or possible subversives or terrorism sympathizers coming into your country. They're then inside your castle wall, buddy, and then we've got a problem. I think it's absolute lunacy. What I would prefer to do is to fund SpaceX to build about 50 more launch pads and launch these clowns back to their home planet, Uranus.
Yeah. Yeah. I got something on that real quick.
I'll second that one.
I was reading earlier about 15 countries under Sharia law, 50 plus countries are majority Muslim, and 0 of them want Palestinian refugees. So the Biden administration says, oh, we'll take them.
Here's a question for you. How many of these protesters do you think would last in Gaza or under any regime that has Sharia law?
Oh, none.
Would you think you'd have an LGBTQ element protesting with a rainbow flag in Palestine right now?
Only until they reach the third roof of the parking garage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I got you. Loud and clear. Lima Charlie on that. Yeah.
There's something else that came up too when I was doing research this afternoon. There, apparently, there's a group that's tracking the cell phones that were given to all these illegals as they come across.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying that as of today, remember all those criminal illegal invaders who've been tracking from the caravans to our borders and into the interior of the U.S. Today, over 1,000 of the same devices are present at over 21 protests and growing across America. And they're showing these things at Cal Poly, USC, ASU, University of Colorado, UT Austin, Minnesota, University of Minnesota, Illinois. Anyway, all of these various universities have the cell phone. These illegals are showing up at all these universities. 41 individuals. Okay, yeah. So 23 were involved in multiple BLM and Antifa riots. Let's see, of the 41 that are currently in the vicinity of UC Irvine, California, 12 have walked onto campus in pairs. They all met this morning at Carl's Jr. parking lot, or Von Carmen Avenue and Campus Drive in Newport Beach. What the hell? Okay, so one of the questions is, who do you think these people are, migrants or NGO activists? That's a good point.
It's insurgency, no matter what way you put a brand on it.
Yep.
I agree with him. It's insurgency. That you and I were NGOs. These guys are not NGOs.
No.
Organized domestic terrorism.
Well, listen, even terrorists are given due process. So when we were wearing a different uniform, we were doing different things for the red, white, and blue. Another. We all had a common goal, a common approach to most things. The one thing that we failed on was post-conflict. If you look at the Balkans, after Yugoslavia broke up, and you see what happened in Europe between 1995 and 2005, every tin pot type of regime came across droves from Greece, across Syria, and right across. When the Syrian thing began, when they started bombing Aleppo and doing some crap in there, when Iraq was in the worst of the years, 04 to 07, a lot of the refugees that were there were economic. They were genuine refugees. Now you have someone who pertains to be a refugee or someone who's under serious pressure. Listen, have you seen the clothes that these people are wearing coming over the border?
Yeah.
None of this stuff. Listen, I'll tell you something right now. I've bought many a thing in Goodwill when I was doing my look. I tell you that right now. And I tell you something, I have no fashion or street cred compared to some of these guys. These guys are coming in with top dollar stuff. They may be knockoffs, but they're arriving hand in hand. We have no way to physically track any of these people. No way. Absolutely no way. Bringing them in here is crazy. Is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you have to track them if you put them in the ground?
No.
Well, here's the thing. I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm going to say it because I'm of a certain vintage. I remember with the run up to Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I was with a unit and we were put into doing some sneaky peek shit, and we were heading or in that general neighborhood where we took off, and we were looking at what the Iraqis were doing and cutting fiber optic cables so they couldn't launch the Scuds against Israel. They gave each of us in my unit an RFID chip. I have one on my left leg since 1990. Okay, so these clowns can find me anywhere. So if we are talking about technology from the last freaking millennium, surely be the God we can do this. Listen, you can, if you employ the technology that we have, you can do something if you're only serious about it. And the other aspect of that is this, gentlemen, the same system that protects us sometimes is also the same system that frustrates us, but it's for the common good. It's for the common good. I have no problem verifying and showing a cop my ID. When you have a population that parts of it will not even carry an ID because they feel they're being oppressed, how you think these guys are coming in are going to act? They're given more rights than U.S. citizens or naturalized citizens like me. So you're not really giving the U.S. population. It's worse for you, gentlemen, if I can say this to you. You guys are born and bred here. So you guys are, every homegrown born American is suffering more than people like me. And I tell you why. Because you've been born and bred here and you've seen what you've had fall away from you. I'm a new American, relatively. And you're talking about, I embraced this country. It was a choice I came to here. I made the choice of coming here. But it's worse for people now. Our kids and grandkids, these people here, either in DC or the people who are running these colleges, do not represent the guy on the street anymore. There's no way. Cut the funding out, and then tighten up the border is one thing. No other country will put up with this. Even the Chinese, 1,500 years ago, built a damn wall.
Yeah.
Right? So that says something.
I got to ask something here. Everybody knows that George Soros is behind a lot of this crap. Why in the hell doesn't somebody just take and freaking seize his assets and get it over with?
That's an interesting question. I have an opinion, but I don't want to be taking the microphone on that thing too much.
All right, let's hold on. Just I'll stand by that just for a minute. Speaking of George Soros, because we have a list of demands that the protesters, the rioters, the shitheads, whatever you want to call them, dumbasses. I'm going to put that up real quick and look at it because George Soros is paying for a bunch of this shit. Then we're going to take a break and then we'll get right back into that again. So let's go with the list. All right. Let me open this up here. It's pretty ridiculous, actually. Okay.
I've seen this before.
You've seen this before, yeah?
I've seen this before. Remember when Barack the Wonder Schmuck came into office and they had all of those protests and whatever else was going on? And then we had these peaceful protests. They came out with lists exactly like this, saying they needed this, they needed water, and they wanted all these different crazy freaking things. Exactly like this.
Yep.
Exactly like this. This is the same shit. You can't tell me this is something spontaneous.
I get a solution. Pack up your fucking 2x4s, your fucking hoodies, and your fucking diapers that you're wearing on your face and go to fuck home. Eat at home.
Yeah, one would think, yeah. But yeah, you're right. You're right, Mr. B. It is. It's the same group of people. It's always the same shit. It's BLM. It's Antifa. These idiots now. You know, it's all one big, massive group of the same folks. But what do we do about them, though? Folks, that we want to hear some opinions from our wonderful audience out there. So let's call us in 508-974-4231. And well, yeah, okay. I guess I can. I'm trying to get this list to. Oh, there we go. There's full screen. Oh, that's right. I got part of the list. I don't have the whole thing. Anyway, they want. There we go. Thank you. Go back down. All right. Headlamps, airsoft goggles, gas masks, respirators, especially for our medics, skater helmets, shields, wood for barriers, knee and elbow pads, rain ponchos, canopies, utility gloves without reinforced knuckles, I don't know why, of various sizes, especially for small hands, super bright flashlights with strobes, charged umbrellas, EpiPens, non-steroid inhalers, because, you know, get asthma and shit when they get all excited, and Mom didn't send enough with them. Headlamps, organizational bins, hot food for lunch, important. Vegan food, gluten-free food, ice, no packaged food, no coffee, no bagels, no bananas, no nuts. Fill out this form if you are interested in coordinating a meal. Is there more, or is that okay? There's a little
I gotta ask this.
that,
We all know that it's hotter than hell out there, right? Yeah, okay. It's
Yeah.
like 30 or 40 degrees out at night, and they want ice. What the hell is this?
well, I don't know. Maybe for bruising or some such shit. And this is all from the UCLA Palestine Solidarity something. There's no continuation, but who knows? All
Hey,
right.
I'll put a package together for them if I can put a few flashbangs in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think somebody.
You know what I would do? I tell you, fellas, I know what I would do. I would give them exactly what they want, and I would put an additive into it. I would give them laxatives. Okay.
Oh.
And that's what in another jurisdiction we had issues with certain civil disorder. So sometimes they had to get their stuff. We had stuff where guys were being naughty and taking money out of a bank when they had no ATM card. You know what I'm saying? So they'd ask for food. So they get the food. So they'd end up anywhere getting something extra in the ingredients, and they would poop their brains out. And all I can say is that the bottom fell out of the world, and then the world came through their bottom. And the situation was over. I remember in Afghan, where you were, you old fog, we had guys shooting at us and protesting and doing everything else. And every Friday was especially very busy. And anyway, so me and a couple of other people who couldn't sleep because we were on stag at nighttime, we basically, anyway, long story short, we detonated and launched 4 porta potties over the side of the berm. And infidel crap spewed all over the place. No one's going to heaven if you got infidel crap on you.
Yeah, good point.
So peace broke out for about 2 days. We could easily give them something that could take their minds off of protesting, and they could be like praying mantis trying to find the nearest porta potty.
All right, we got to take a break real quick, and when we come back, we're going to have a discussion about whether that shit comes out in hard little balls or if it's just a flood. But that'll be after the break, and we'll be back. All right, we're
introducing FFN Network, your gateway to infinite imagination. Are you ready to embark on a journey beyond the ordinary? Look no further than the FFN Network, where creativity knows no bounds. Our original shows will keep you hooked. Whether if you like news or a fan of historical epics, we've got something for everyone. Join our interactive storytelling experiences where you decide. Thank you. Come join our team. That's this week's update. It's shaping up well, and I'm excited to see how it drives our shows forward. We'd love to hear your thoughts or answer any questions you might have. Just send us an email. Thank you. FFN Network.
You know, our producer Blazeman's coming up with some really good shit. We got like AI some stuff now going on, and there's all kinds of stuff. And okay, let's cover some of the messages real quick. Keep your porn star thing in your pocket there. Oh, yeah, never mind. Okay, Ann's saying we can't make phone calls. Won't the system's not working. So yeah, if you do a test call there, Mr. B, if you wouldn't mind. And CJR 1979 is saying proof right there that communism equals no food. That's been proven time and time again. He follows that up with communists always looking for a handout. And Hartford is saying S bleeped work. Then she says this guy is right on target. And messages from audience will, we don't have to worry about that. Jesus, I felt like Joe Biden reading the fucking teleprompter. Disregard that one.
I didn't say Mr. B test.
Oh, yeah, Mr. B test. I hear that.
Can you hear me, Mr.
Yeah,
B?
I think we may have worked out the bug.
This is a test from Mr. B. Can everybody hear him?
Yep.
Very low, but I can hear him.
Yeah, I just turned it up. Speak up, B.
How are we doing now?
Very good. Very good.
Okay, sing us a lullaby, B.
I got it 5 by 5. A lullaby. How are you gonna get him down on the farm?
I got it.
After you've seen Perry.
All right, guys, continue. Give about 5 minutes before you call in.
All right. It should be working now. 508-974-4231, hopefully. Okay. All right. Moving right along. We were talking about, when we left on the break, we were talking about shitting little balls or whether it's a flood. So I'm not sure how to follow up on that. Does anybody know?
Gravity takes effect no matter what the thing. There's a term in chemistry called sublimation, which is the changing from a solid and a liquid into a gaseous state. So depending upon the dietary fiber is probably proportional to the end result, sir. That's all.
Okay. Well, nice. All right. Okay.
You know what also works? Is wiping everything down with something like a Tabasco sauce.
Oh boy.
Flashback. Yeah. All right.
we want to treat him too good.
All right, fellas.
Anyway, fellas, I was going to ask you, what do you think about how coordinated these things are across the country?
Well, without a doubt.
Obviously they are. I mean, they're happening on every college campus. I mean, there's more breaking out as we're speaking.
They're beautifully orchestrated. Orchestrated.
Yeah. They all got one common denominator, that Palestinian group that's leading them, and Soros and his money, and who knows what other government agencies are involved in it.
Renee, do you want to stop a Palestinian group? I mean, let's call a spade here. Iran, ultimately. Iran,
yes, yeah. They're using the Palestinians, yeah. Iran. They should have been blasted back into the fucking Stone Age fucking years ago. But
well, it's interesting that no other Arab country is willing to take these guys on board. And I ask myself the question, why is that?
What do you think? What is the answer?
I have some thoughts, but the answer is primarily that they are not what is deemed to be acceptable under Arab culture. Arab culture in the 50s and 60s was different to Arab culture now in the 21st century. Despite their adherence to the Prophet, they're also adherences to the profit and loss, and they've gotten a very good standard of living. So if you've ever been to Dubai or the Emirates or anywhere like that, people's standard of living, depending upon the oil reserves and everything else, and depending upon the regime or the particular sect or version of Sharia law that they've got, this really shouldn't be a conversation about Islam, but it boils down to economics. And the bottom line is that if your belly is full, you're less likely to riot and break shit. Right. And that's been proven throughout the ages. And, Marie Antoinette said, when the people were starving, she said, well, let them eat cake. And she lost her head about 2 weeks later outside the Bastille in Paris. So what's going to happen with these Palestinians is that here's the problem I see. The UN is drafting a resolution to give them observer status in the UN, which will mean that they're non-participating, but it's the first step towards statehood. If you do that, you set a precedent internationally. You're going to have other groups looking for recognition. And Hamas is a terrorist organization. So if you wave a flag in support of the people who put babies in ovens and kill people, well, you know.
Don't we have something like that here in the United States already? Doesn't the congressman that represents
Hey,
DC,
caller, you're on the air with
They-
We got a
FFN
great
can't
Network
vote?
and i12 GIA.
we got a
the
caller.
Real talk with real people. Who do we have on the line tonight?
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Crispy Faco. We just called because of the list that you had up there. I just tuned in when you were showing that list, and I just had a question for you. Anybody think it was friggin' hysterical that they had her put charged
I know.
for the flashlights?
Yeah. And apparently they want
Like,
batteries
yeah, we want
too.
flashlights. By the way, charge them before you give them to us.
Yeah. I think there was more to that list, something about generators, but only solar or electric, not gas. There was all kinds of stupid shit in there that they wanted. Yeah, there's a list again.
It did seem, he was right. It seemed like it was the same shit. The only thing that I was missing from there is that on at least this list, it doesn't say that you have to buy 10% from black-owned stores.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah. I'm sure that, well, I have the vegan food, it's got to be that kind of stuff in there too. Yeah, there was I'm curious about airsoft goggles, I guess, and the skater helmets. Now, see, wouldn't normal people want like Team Wendy helmets maybe if you're going to ask for shit for free or
that's
So,
because of
like I said, I tuned in. What is that list actually for?
That's because of like the pepper spray and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's from the UCLA Palestine Solidarity Group, that the ones that are occupying the buildings at UCLA. That's a list of demands that they have before they'll negotiate. That they're trying to negotiate is what they're doing.
So they want stuff to protect them, but not to protect them. Like,
right.
Make sure you don't give us reinforced knuckles. Look, we don't want to hurt anybody, but we want to be able to have gloves.
Right. But small gloves. Now, also, they ask that everything be BDS compliant. Right. So, no Israeli companies involved in the whole divest and all that nonsense that they're trying to do too. So they're particular apparently. I like vegan and gluten-free.
So let's end racism, but just keep racism going for the groups that want to demand that it keeps going. That would be technically racist, religionist, so some sort of ist.
Yep. Yeah. There's nism in there somewhere. It's strange. I don't know, buddy. You got me, man.
Yeah. Getting back to what we were talking about earlier.
All right. Thanks, caller. Unless you want to stick around, it's up to you.
That nomad.
All right, no, I'm going to take off. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job. I enjoyed calling in. Have a good
night, brother.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
He said the Palestinians would be neutral observers. Don't we have something like that here in the United States already? Vis-a-vis the fucking U.S. representative for the fucking District of Columbia sits in Congress, but can't fucking vote. We have that here already.
Now, this is felony stupid, my father used to call it.
Yeah.
Felony stupid.
Yep. Well, like we talked about earlier, diving into the shallow end of the stupid pool, right? It's pretty much what's going on there. Now, I think, Nomad, you said something earlier about designated terrorist groups, okay? We have laws here on the books that address designated terrorist organizations. We're not supposed to negotiate with them, right? We're supposed to prosecute them. We're supposed to seize their assets when we find them. So Hamas is a designated terrorist organization. So why in the world are they allowed to run rampant on the streets of our country? Anybody got some thoughts on that?
Well, who is responsible in this country for enforcing those laws? If the Biden Department of Justice ain't going to do it, who's going to do it?
The onus falls on our own shoulders when our government fails to protect us.
Yep.
I'm sorry, that slipped out.
No, well, that's all right. It's sad but true.
No, I'd agree with you on that. But it's going to take more than two people to take these people out.
Yep. Yep.
You know, the Biden DOJ doesn't want to do anything. Merrick Garland doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah, like the crickets.
We need to find all the people that are willing to do what needs to be done.
Well, let's back it up a little bit. I don't think people have the stomach for it. They're too comfortable. Like Nomad was saying earlier, Marie Antoinette said, people got food in their bellies and they're warm in their homes.
Right.
They don't give a shit. They don't want to get involved.
Right.
I don't think there's the appetite for it. It could be wrong. I think there's only a handful of patriots have an appetite for it. But the majority of people don't.
You think I want to have an appetite for this? You think I want to be sitting around day after day, month after month, week after week, year after year, looking at this happy horse shit that this keeps going on? Hell no.
No, neither do I.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Hey, Nomad, you got some thoughts on that subject, buddy? Did we lose Nomad?
Hello?
I think people are losing sight of what this is actually about. This is not just about protest. This is about the destruction of Israel. And that's the end game on this thing. It's to basically destroy the state of Israel. That's what it's about. And there's no other way of dressing it up. So when you go back to terrorist organizations, under Florida and under federal statutes, if you take gangs, a gang is 2 or 3 people involved in a criminal enterprise. Criminal enterprise can be something where there's a profit or there's damage or some loss done to society. There's 3 people or more in each of these protests. So if you have any gang paraphernalia, which would be codes, ciphers, signs, patches, colors, where people are waving a flag of a territory, not a country, a territory under international accord that voted for Hamas, which is a terrorist government. So if you wave the Palestinian flag, if A is equal to B, B is equal to C, therefore A is also equal to C. If you vote for these clowns and they shoot people, you support those people. So I cannot support those who support terrorism. So the flag of Palestine is a terrorist flag until Hamas are removed.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Bottom line. Bottom line.
In the interest of full and fair disclosure, CJAI 1979 is my son. Been trying to get him on as a guest. He won't budge. But he says the DOJ is only interested in going after anyone that was within 100 miles of D.C. on January 6th. Fucking truest statement that I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, that's really sad. Too, I don't know what to do about that. You know, there's well, that's a whole other topic. You know, they're locking up grandmas for walking around the White House during that insurrection. But yet this shit's flowing throughout the streets of our entire nation. Actually, it's worldwide now. So yeah, I don't get it. It's what Nomad just said about the destruction of Israel is very telling, because it is worldwide now. There's these riots, these protests are pretty much going all over, which makes no sense to me. You know, there was a time, you guys have heard of Godwin's Law before, right? Anytime anybody mentions, yeah, me too. Anytime anybody mentions
I
Palestine,
still wear it every day.
Yeah. Anytime anybody mentions Hitler or Nazism or whatever, you know, Godwin's Law would take effect and they'd just be discounted while you're just talking about Hitler. Well, no, that doesn't apply anymore. It's real. You know, there's no difference between 1930s Germany and what's going on right now. And this shit's got to stop, man, or we're going to have another repeat. You know, come on, another Holocaust? What the fuck?
Chad, I'd like to hear your thoughts on how it's going to stop.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's going to take a concerted effort here. Well, you know what? Worldwide, we can't even, I don't know. Worldwide, I have no idea. Here in the U.S., it's going to take a concerted effort. And I'm hoping in November, we get this all back under control again. I'm hoping the adults come back in the room.
I think the first step to getting it to come together is getting the American people to get away from their fucking televisions and look at their children and realize that their children are being indoctrinated and led around by them, not only by the people at the schools, but these damn terrorist Hamas operatives that are here on our soil and appealing to their pansy-ass liberal ideologies that they have now and getting them into thinking that they're actually helping and doing good things while they're actually helping terrorists.
How about fucking schools that have transgender reading hours to kids?
Well, yeah, and that's a whole other topic. I mean, that's just destruction. Well, it goes back to the opening of the show. It's destruction of our society. What the hell happened to a civilized society? This video that's running right now is talking about the protests in the UCLA campus and how the cops kind of stood back and just because there's Israel supporters are now removing these barricades and all that kind of crap on UCLA. They're actually mobilized and are addressing this issue.
Do you know why that is? Do you know why that is?
What?
I have an opinion on that. One of the most important constitutional officers that a community can have is your local sheriff.
Yep.
Right? Your sheriff is constitutionally appointed. He's elected by your people. Most chiefs of police are appointed by a city manager. The people have no vote or say in who they are. So a city manager or a mayor can dictate that person is aligned with me politically and with my same end game and goals. Most of where these things are happening, there's no sheriff. There's a chief of police or whatever. If you have a police force in a university, the chief of police there is appointed by the faculty, by the board of that faculty.
Mm-hmm.
The people living in the area have no part of it. We have it here in Orlando. We have it in other parts of the country. Wherever you've got a large university, you've got a police force on that. Those guys that work those jobs have a very important job. They really do. But primarily, it's about crime prevention and crime detection. It's not reaction, with the exception, God forbid, of an active shooter. But here's what I'm coming to. The majority of what's going on right now, if you compare the protests in Europe and other parts of the world to what's happening here, the guys protesting in Europe are not doing what they're doing here, because the laws in Europe will be, if you get together, we're going to have your butt in the jail before the night's out. Whereas over here, we'll give them hot food and we'll try and placate them and wind them down. Last point on this thing. When it comes to this whole thing, if you want to change this, you make your vote count in November. That's the first thing you do. And you start to take back the House the way it was designed to do, which is through the ballot box, and kick these bums out of it. And anybody, regardless of which side of the aisle, who does not do what they say they're supposed to do, kick their butt out again. Do not re-elect them, because I'll tell you respectfully, right? I remember the first time I got a chance to vote as a U.S. citizen. It was a huge deal to me. I looked forward to it. I queued up in the morning. I waited. I got it. I did my thing. I got the result I wanted by putting my butt on that sidewalk and putting a vote in. Most people now are intellectually lazy. They want to look for the result on Google. You got to give them the damn answer. If you don't get the answer, the first two results, they won't even bother. They wait for you to give them the damn answer. Same in our schools. Our teachers, some of our teachers are good. There's a majority of our teachers are crap. They were bad students. They're now bad teachers because they don't teach civics anymore. As an immigrant coming in here, I probably know more about American history than some of the kids the same age group that are there. So it's down to the point of where, as each of you said, you begin with the ballot box. If we keep voting these clowns in, we get what we deserve, and that's the bottom line. In Europe, they protest. I'm European, so you can hear it. In Europe, they protest over real issues. Over here, they protest because there's an endangered fucking snail somewhere between two trees, and I can't put a row of houses here because the snail has more rights than I do. So we've actually completely polarized ourselves here. We've allowed this to go on too long. Start in November, get this thing back on track, and take it back step by step through the ballot box. Because the first thing the government wants you to react. The government wants you to do something silly. The government wants you to do something which will involve the Second Amendment, which then the government will come in and say, we don't need that anymore because it just leads to protests. The same people who were accused of treasonous acts on the 6th of January a number of years ago, if the same argument was put against some of these people, destruction of federally funded buildings and state-owned facilities, that's domestic terrorism in Europe. Over here, it's a freaking protest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
There's more
point of
worry about
information, sir. A point of information, very important. Not only the destruction of property, but there were employees that were being held against their will.
Excellent.
Correct, yeah.
Yep.
And that goes down to the policing.
Hey guys, I think we're going to run over, but Blaze said that's okay as long as he can run an ad.
Yeah, we got to pay the bills real quick.
Shut up. I promise I'll shut up.
Stand by. Here we go. Boys, run the ad.
Introducing FFN Network, your gateway to infinite imagination. Are you ready to embark on a journey beyond the ordinary? Look no further than the FFN Network, where creativity knows no bounds. Our original shows will keep you hooked. Whether if you like news or a fan of historical epics, we've got something for everyone. Join our interactive storytelling experiences where you decide. Thank you. Come join our team. That's this week's update. It's shaping up well, and I'm excited to see how it drives our shows forward. We'd love to hear your thoughts or answer any questions you might have. Just send us an email. Thank you. FFN Network.
Okay, let's talk about voting just for a minute, because some of us have experience with the voting systems, and we have, we've all seen the famous purple thumbprint when you actually show up to vote. And I know I monitor elections in different countries where people have walked with their entire families have walked, 500 miles through the jungle to get to the voting booths and do that purple thumbprint and actually contribute to the democratic process and vote. Why is it here that we can't be bothered to get off our like you said earlier, get off our lazy asses and make it to the 2 blocks away to the post office to vote? That's a lot of the problem here. What are we going to do with electronic voting? Or do you guys think we should go back to the way it was done in the old days? One person, one vote, a paper ballot, counted by hand, monitored.
Yep.
And
how do we? That's the only way you had integrity.
Okay. Yeah. No, we had to instigate a national ID and requirements for all state and federal benefits. Yep. And then use that to vote. Would that work? And how do we do that?
A lot of states won't go with voter ID.
Yeah, especially blue states, it seems like. It's racist.
Do you know how you can fix? Sorry, fellas. Do you know how they do it in Europe? I know I'm not going back on this European crap, but I'm telling you right now, this crap works. Like you, buddy, I monitored elections.
Right.
I did it when Georgia broke away from not Georgia the state, Georgia the country. I was in Tbilisi. I was in Kiev when Ukraine took off. I was in parts of the Balkans doing stuff. But here's what I'm coming to. The equivalent of a social security card, right? In some countries have a photo ID. It has some sort of biometric element to it as well. So you've got your social security card. That's it. Forget these protests a second. Look at what you need to get on an aircraft, to buy a pack of cigarettes, to buy a 6-pack of beer. And we've got some elements of our society that refuse to do that because they feel it's restrictive. I think staying away from all this color politics. But here's the bottom line. If you want something, you must prove who you are. Right? What did Reagan say? Trust but verify. Mm-hmm. That's where we're at now again. So we've got to start doing that. Yeah. Okay? We already have this electronically available to us. Why don't we roll out as soon as a kid is born, right? He gets his social security number. Okay? So kids in school, before they get to college, they have a game plan. They're doing advanced classes to go to college, so they already have it. So if you follow the money anywhere in the world, and you follow the money and you match that money path with an ID, you have it. Everybody should have some form of ID on it for just safety reasons alone.
Mm-hmm.
I know Fourth Amendment will say, unlawful searches and seizures, I don't have to say who I am. Listen, federal case law says you must identify yourself to law enforcement. Whether you agree with them or not, you have to identify yourself to law enforcement, right?
If you force a photo ID, my mother will be forced to stop voting. She died 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I already have my epitaph for my tombstone. I've got 2 messages on it, right? One is, I told you I was sick. And the second one is, if I'm dead, please don't let me vote Democrat.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. Hey, didn't France just eliminate electronic voting?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's happening right now is, I mean, the home of the democracy comes from Greece, but the modern parallel, the French gave us a lot of stuff. They gave us some decent adult entertainment and other things, but also they gave us Statue of Liberty, but they also gave us some ideas. And what we have here in the States, America is a concept. So our ID is intrinsic to our identity as a citizen or as a lawful permanent resident.
Mm-hmm.
So you must have. If you ask somebody coming into the country to verify who they are, you should also expect the same element being given to people. If you want to benefit, you need to have it. You need to go to college. Show me who you are. Show me who you are.
That would make sense. Hey, listen, the call-in number is 508-974-4231. We'd love to hear from you. All right, let's see. What do you think, guys?
So I think it's been a great show.
Have we beaten this dead horse pretty much to its completion here?
Protesters to resolve the situation.
There's going to be plenty for us to keep beating it. Believe me.
Once it became clear that public safety was
it's not going to stop.
It's not. No, it isn't.
Marshall, we know that the terminology of outside agitators was used during the civil rights movement, and people attempted to show that the movement was not legitimate. So we understand that. But this police department cannot get caught up on what's the political correct terminology. We have to be caught up on public safety. There were individuals on the campus, should not have been there.
Sorry about the
there
audio,
were people
guys. That's
who
not
are professionals. And we saw evidence of training. We saw a shift in tactics that were being used. And when you start using the intelligence that Intel was able to supply, we knew it was time to communicate directly with the school and say, you have more than a peaceful protest on your hand.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, if I could just add to that, just as the letter said that we received from Columbia, this was led by outside agitators. And this was also stated in the letter that we received when Columbia asked us to move in.
Organized terrorist attack.
You all know, right, that they arrested like 5 to 6 Palestinian terrorists in these colleges already? Mostly the one in Columbia.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised.
That's what this guy's about to talk about. Well, he calls them agitators. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you want, we can listen.
Yeah, what do you think, guys? You want to go ahead and keep going for a while, or?
Yeah, I'm gonna. If you guys don't mind, I'm gonna post a message here.
Okay, yeah. Let's finish up, guys. We're Rennie's. Yeah, let's go ahead and finish up.
You guys can keep going.
That's all right. I think we're pretty much done with this. We'll continue this on later. What do you think?
Be happy to see you again soon.
Yep. Yeah, we've all pretty much had a long day, and it's a long topic, and it's a long subject, and I think we're done for the evening.
B, thank you for staying around.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
I'm honored that you guys would ask me, and thank you so much. You guys have a great night, great show.
You too, buddy.
Pleasure and honor to deal with you all.
Your thoughts are always welcome.
Thank you. Good
Okay.
night, boys.
All right, buddy.
Nomad, thank you again for tonight, man. You're the best, brother.
No, brother. Thank you, buddy. You take care, buddy. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks, my friend. We'll talk again soon, brother. Be safe. Okay. All right. I guess I'll go ahead and take us out then. It's been another great show. We put a lot of effort and time into doing this stuff, and sometimes it gets rather emotional for all of us involved. Well, it does. We talk about this shit, the same shit, and everything else that's going on in the world, and we get immersed with this. And I think it takes a toll sometime. And I know I'm feeling it tonight for some reason. I don't know why exactly. So we've done an hour and 6 minutes of show, and it takes about probably 6 hours of research, 6 to 8 hours of research throughout the day. But it's worth it. Somebody's got to give these raw and unfiltered thoughts out there. What's going on in our brain. So Rennie, you want to close us out, brother?
Yeah, special thanks to i12 GIA. Peace of Mind Training. I talked to Lee today. Sent his regards. Global Tactical Elite, and your
i12 GIA. Oh yeah, and the
Animal Rescue
Guardian Rottweiler Rescue folks.
And if CJAI 1979 is still listening, I'd like to get him on the show, man. He's in tune just like we are.
Yeah, it'd be great to have him.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up and go on our merry way then. Once again, thanks as always. Keep the ones that are close to you, give them a big hug and keep them safe and prepare to self-rescue. And again, we are all Americans. Let's fucking start acting that way. Okay. So it's been real, folks, and good night.
Introducing FFN Network, your gateway to infinite imagination. Are you ready to embark on a journey beyond the ordinary? Look no further than the FFN Network, where creativity knows no bounds. Our original shows will keep you hooked. Whether if you like news or a fan of historical epics, we've got something for everyone. Join our interactive storytelling experiences where you decide. Thank you. Come join our team. That's this week's update. It's shaping up well, and I'm excited to see how it drives our shows forward. We'd love to hear your thoughts or answer any questions you might have. Just send us an email. Thank you. FFN Network.
You have just watched an FFN Network production.